hardcore boxing fans out there, how are you doing? Big Porky here, the voice of hardcore boxing, and I hope you've subscribed as well, or I'll be coming to pay you a visit.
Porky tells it like it is. If you don't like it, don't watch it. The talkers and the smoky bacon walkers.
Hello all you hardcore boxing fans out there, how are you doing? It's Big P here, the voice of hardcore boxing. Let me just put my sunglasses on because I've got sun blaring through my ear holes and my eyeballs. And there you go. Look at that. I look like a
nice.
Hartley hair. Today I'm joined by Carl from down south. Is it Carl?
Essex. Indeed.
Essex, yeah. We're going to talk some boxing today, and but first of all, I want to thank all you people who joined the members area. We've enjoyed that this week, mainly because we're doing helmets tomorrow. So we're going to put the dough into the production for this month's helmets of the month. So this is going to go out tonight. So you need to get your helmet votes in for tomorrow at 10 AM. That's the cut-off day, not the 30th. It's April the 29th tomorrow, because we want to get it out on the 1st. So, okie dokie. So, Carl, how are you doing?
All good, all good. Back in the office. Pubs have almost reopened, so life is getting better, mate. What about you? Keeping busy? I see a lot of videos.
Yeah, I've had a few days off, but yeah, I was back yesterday. I did one with Kent, you know, the kid from Belfast.
Yep.
And 2,000 views after 12 hours. Only small fry, aren't we? But the right people are watching the video, and that's all I care about, really. I'm not bothered about casuals and this and that. I'm bothered about boxing people. The people in the boxing industry watch my videos because I've heard back, and I'm happy about that. So, because they all want to know if I'm going to rinse them. Well, if you know me and you start coming out with shite, I will rinse you, because nobody dare do it like me. So, yeah, we are confrontational. We're a bit like Marmite, but I don't care what people think anymore. We just love the sport so much. And I'm personally worried about where the sport's heading. What do you think, Carl?
Likewise, I think boxing at the moment is on life support machine. Yeah. Well, mainly with hardcores. I think casuals kind of almost have brought into the idea that a lot of what they're seeing, like your normal Saturday night shows or these exhibition fights with YouTubers, yeah. I think a lot of casuals just think that is the norm, especially casuals that have just been introduced to boxing, courtesy of Instagram and YouTube people. But I think for hardcores, we are sort of at a turn in the road now, where we're only 4 months into this year, and some of the stuff that's happened within boxing is quite frankly embarrassing. I think if we get another 4 months of that, mate, then I think some hardcores may just call it a day, you know.
Well, there is people who email me daily, and we've had like 3 or 4 people say, "Look, I like your channel, that's what you're doing that, but I think you're pissing in a hurricane." I said, "Well, I've never quit out in my life, and I'm not about to." So, and they said, "Well, we appreciate what you're doing, but I ain't got time to be spending, you know, an hour, 2 hours a day watching your channel, because what you're saying, it's great, Russ, but we think that nobody's listening, you know, in the industry." Because what somebody touched on it this morning, actually, I forgot who it were actually in it. Somebody touched on it this morning in a text message to me, and they said, oh, I know who it were now, but I'm not going to say his name. They said, and I quote, agree with what you're saying, but nobody's going to come out and say it, are they? Because they all want to work. We don't want to work. And all roads lead to Eddie Hearn, don't they? At the moment, you got it boxed off, hasn't he?
He's the puppet master.
Nobody dare come out and say anything. But now the puppet master, he's wanting to put his own narrative out there, like Vince McMahon and Dana White, and wants to control everybody with who gets access, who don't get access, and blah blah blah. And now we're in a situation where boxing's going to take a turn like the darts did, but the darts took it for the better. The Hearns made darts better, But you start messing about with boxing, it's a little bit different to darts. It's more emotions involved in boxing, isn't it, than throwing a bit of metal at a dartboard.
Indeed, indeed.
And I worry that these narratives that they're going to now spin are going to be out of control. Now, these YouTubers that are hanging out of the back of Eddie Hearn, these hula hoopers, they are doing interviews with people in industry, and they're saying, "Oh, I don't know if I could put that out." Now, I know somebody who's a boxing board of control, licensed trainer and manager and promoter, and they're like saying to this person, "We can't put that out, or the cutting bits out. So what's the point in them being mainstream journalists? Because all old ones have gone, haven't they, now? They're all phased out, aren't they, more or less? You don't see them much. Jeff Powell's, Colin Hart's. They turn up every now and then, but they're not really welcome, are they? They don't get exclusives, do they? You know, the younger generation, it's on YouTube app, innit, straight away on the phones. IFL, Boxing Social, Behind the Gloves, Seconds Out, all these people. They're the problem in the sport of boxing at the moment, but they can't see it because they're getting paid. But they're putting this narrative out to all these casuals, and they're killing the sport on its knees. That's what I think. What do you think?
Well, yeah, we in general, we haven't got many true journalists in this country at all, let alone in the sport of boxing. I mean, true journalists would tackle the heart of the story, wouldn't be afraid to put out the unpopular question, and they would never step over that line. They would be neutral. They would give praise where praise is due, and they would criticise when criticism was due. Yeah. A lot of our big sporting outlets, who a lot of casuals and some hardcores rely on, and you've mentioned them many times, we know the big channels, I don't have to mention them. I'm watching a lot of these videos now, more for a comedy element, because I'm seeing journalists that I've stepped way over the line that seem almost friendly with these people, like they actually go out on sort of a casual basis. Now, I saw a video...
Gareth Davis, maybe Gareth Davis, wasn't it?
Definitely one of them. But I see a video 2 days ago with Coogan and Conor Benn. Yeah. He was sat in Conor Benn's car while his kid was in the back. And he's at the end of the video, I don't know if anyone cottoned onto it, Coogan says, "Oh, well, I'll probably see you soon and we'll have a catch up." And Conor Benn went, I'm seeing you tonight, aren't I? And Coogan quickly went, "Oh, I was trying to keep that on the QT." So these guys are going out on a casual basis outside of boxing, and once people are aware of that, you then have to question everything that outlet has ever said, has ever reported, because to me that is a line that you cannot cross. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, so yeah, you're right. I'm just saying you're right. Yeah.
I'm absolutely fine with journalists being friendly and being respectful to everyone. I mean, that's absolutely fine, but I'm sorry, you cannot cross that line. You cannot start mixing with these people outside of the job. Yeah. Because it just, it's, I don't know, we've seen it before. It's nothing new. We know that the big outlets have probably had connections and relationships to a lot of people. That's how a lot of these guys get their scoops first. So we know there's probably always been sort of a relationship behind the camera. But once people see that, they're just going to switch off and go, "Do you know what? I've got to try, if there is still anyone reputable and respectful out there, I've got to try and get my news from somewhere else." Because these channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, it's just not legit. You're just not getting that they're never going to ask the real questions. They're never going to want to upset. Coogan didn't really want to upset Ben in that video a couple of days ago. He was saying stuff about the stoppage was right, and Conor said that he's the best in Britain, which is obviously nonsense. And it's just a shame because he's got a big platform, but he just, we've seen it, just doesn't want to upset anyone.
Yeah, that's why I spent all them years with Dennis, but once I started my channel, I've been with Dennis 2.5 years when I started my channel. Well, 2 years, 7 months I've been with him. I started my channel. And some of the stuff I was putting out, and I thought, no, that can't be right, that. And I thought, I'm in an awkward position here. What do I say about the show and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And some people might see a video of me and Terry Chappendama doing some at ringside, like big Porky, big banner there at ringside, we're in suits, and we were commenting on the show. And after I watched it, and my mate watched it, and he said, "I were at that show." I said, "What was that, Russ?" I said, "Yeah, now I was asking Terry questions, and Terry answering them." But you feel like you have to be a little bit biased because you know it's your pal's show and this and that. And I thought that was the first thing that I didn't like where I'd been involved in. Then some of the stuff that Dennis were coming out with in interviews, I thought, well, that ain't what you said to me earlier. And I said, "Then what was all that about?" He said, "Yeah, but you know, I'm like, whoa, that was the second one." And I thought, we're gonna clash here because I'm a strong personality, and Dennis is. Although Dennis don't lose his rag like I do, I've go berserk, and he'll just sit back like that, Dennis, and he'll say, "Scheme, not scream, Russell. I've told you." And I'll say, "Yeah," but I knew in my heart we're gonna clash down the line here because. Some of the things I see in boxing, and he's going to take advantage of it if he can manipulate the system. And I just didn't like, and I thought, for what I stand for, no. So I left, but I wish him well. But Coogan's in a position where he wants to be everybody's pal. He's my pal. Yeah, he's a pal of mine. Well, there ain't no pals in boxing. All there is shithousers. 97%. Shithousers. Conor Benn don't want to fight McKinson because he'll get mugged in the ring. So Eddie Hearn signed him to keep him away from him. But I didn't hear Coogan ask him about, do you want to fight McKinson? Because Eddie's signed him now. He's not going to ask him them questions, is he? All he's going to do is tickle his arsehole. Do you know what I mean? Conor Benn is central area English level. He's probably English level. Rico says he's British. I say he's English level. He needs to fight for a British title first before I can call him British. It's all right going in and throwing bombs and all that. We've seen that with fighters recently around here who haven't turned pro yet. They all look good on pads and this and that. As soon as they get hit, all goes down pan, doesn't it? He's not been hit yet, Conor Benn. Been caught by that paying no money, but he were only a light feather duster, man. He hasn't been hit by somebody proper yet. Kell Brook against Conor Benn would be a spit roast. Kell Brook would spit roast Conor Benn. He would rape him. He would, mate. It would be like a gang rape.
Wonder if Brook would come back for the payday.
Well, if he loses against Conor Benn, he'd feel embarrassed. But Kell Brook against Conor Benn is not pay-per-view, but get paid. But Conor Benn's walking around now saying he's pay-per-view. Who's he beat to be pay-per-view? Formella and Vargas. Do me a favour. He's in cloud cuckoo land.
What's he had now? 18 fights, I believe. Yeah. And his record is so padded still. I've said this before when I've spoke to you. I said 10, 11, 12 at a push, that's fine. But 18-0. And who has he fought?
No one.
You know, if he is the best in Britain, maybe he is, then all right, just put all your doubt. I mean, look, I'm not a hater of his, but I am getting frustrated at some of the comments he's coming out with. I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon either. But if you are really the best in the country, just fight for a British belt. Don't think of it as a step backwards. It's still, for me, one of the most iconic and respectable belts there are out there. So, I mean, it's the oldest belt in boxing history as far as this country is concerned. And a lot of these young guys that are coming through the channels, they're just not respecting it. You know, I do think really that it's a shame that it can't be seen as almost a mandatory belt that you have to fight for if you want to push on. Like if you want to go for a Commonwealth or an EBU or a World, and you obviously are, you know, a British fighter, it's a shame that that's not a tick box that you have to have.
Yeah, I see your point there. But where he goes from now, I don't know, because now that he's shot his mouth off, he's got to step up to the plate. You can't shoot your mouth off like he's just done and then go fight in a bin, man.
No, exactly. I mean, he's not going to, like I said, I don't think he's going to go backwards. Not that I see it as going backwards, but I don't think he's going to try and fight for anything like a British or a Commonwealth. I think he's now going to have a lot of these glamour fights for obviously these internationals, these intercontinental belts. It maybe pad out his record. Well, I think he's back in July, I've heard. I don't know who he's fighting, though. And then, I mean, he's already ranked, I think, in at least 2 governing bodies now. He's definitely ranked in the WBA, obviously. He's got that belt. Yeah. But I think he'll just have a lot of these glamour fights now. But who he thinks he's going to beat in that division at world level is, he must be smoking something, because there's no way he's beating any of those champions. You must be joking.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see your point exactly, mate. I see your point exactly. But it's exciting times ahead, Johnny, isn't it?
Always is.
This is why we love this sport so much, Johnny. I just
Speaking
want to. Well,
speaking of Johnny, I wonder if he's going to be going over to the zone and getting on the ship.
Well, I know 3 former world champions from the UK that have been asked to go over. Right, 3.
Nice.
Right, I've been told. And Bellew's not been asked yet. Caldwell hasn't been asked. Spencer Oliver's not been asked. So maybe they just want the creme de la creme on DAZN.
Oh, let's hope so. Let's hope so. I mean, I don't think Bellew and Caldwell are going to be missed for their analytics.
Well, the Usyk Chisora fight, they shot themselves in the foot. They were both reprimanded from Sky, weren't they? So,
well, the fact that Sky themselves pulled them out for that tells you just how obvious it was, even watching it, at home. But it must have been even more painfully obvious at ringside, because everyone could hear it, couldn't they?
Yeah, Tony Bellew, he's doing that because he's trying to influence the judges. He's overdoing the hula hooping. You see, he's wanting to hula hoop and put pressure on judges at the side of the ring and wanting to be the loudest and making it about him. But he's a grown man pushing 40-year-old, behaving like that, climbing into Eddie Hearn's hula hoop, but he couldn't get all his body in there because they had Gareth A. Davis up there and Caldwell were up there before any of them. So, well, they couldn't get by Spencer Oliver's ears, could they? So, how Eddie Hearn walks about, I don't know, him carrying a ton of weight with him, innit? It's like having 5 pianos on your back. But Bellew is going to overperform this week in the bubble because he wants a slice of the DAZN action, because he's going to put his alliance with Eddie Hearn, like the rest of them. They're all going to go with Eddie. You're going to see a few stay with Sky. Now, my personal opinion of it is this. I think Joshua will stay with Sky. I think he'll want to build his own stable with them. He'll think they're the more established, and I think he'll stay with them. And I think that Eddie Hearn knows that. That's why he's trying so hard to get this fight over the line with the Fury, because he knows that sooner or later Joshua's not going to be with him at DAZN. He's feathering his nest with DAZN, and he's backstabbed Sky by it looks of it. And do you think? And I think Eddie also knows that Tyson Fury, I think he knows that he beats Joshua. That's why they want a 2-fight deal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the writing was on the wall that Hearn was leaving. I mean, he practically said in the IFL Zoom chat that he had with Coogan, which was obviously very cringy as well. He said he wasn't going to say anything, but he basically did say something. And other guests on your channel have already said this as well, where he basically went off track a bit and he sort of slipped a few words out when he said about he wants to control the entire production. As soon as he said that, we knew straight away that the writing was on the wall. Yeah. But it just shows that obviously he's very much a bit of a control freak. I don't know why he's bothered about. I would understand why Hearn might want to bring in his own pundits and commentary, because he was kind of almost having a bit of a dig at Sky, which is fine by me. I can't even disagree with him on that. But why he wants to control stuff like the ring walk, the lighting, dude, you're giving yourself way too much work. Just focus on making the best fights. Let DAZN do that production. If you want to have some say on the pundits and the commentary, fine. But why he wants to give himself all this work, I think he may have bitten off a lot more than he can chew it.
Well, let me tell you this, right? I was speaking to someone, I'm not going to say which company it is, but we have a bit to do with a couple of production companies, 2 production companies they've done work for various sports channels in UK, I won't say which. They've been involved in TV industry, film industry. The guy who's been with me from day one with his channel, he's just done Silverstone, with all drones and everything and cameras all over, racing. And they've got contract for that for all this year, for motor racing and that. And he says to me, they're going to be in for the shock of their lives when you've got a full-on team sat about all day waiting, to film it, because they all want pain, these people. Eddie's going to be in for a shock of his life, he said. He said he's going to need mega dough. We're talking mega dough, and it's mega money. Because I know what we have to pay for 1 hour. 1 hour, mate. And I'm gas. I gas. Well, I don't gas. Kevin gas. Oh, look at that, Porky. What are you doing to me? So, well, you said you backed me, didn't you? Keep your word. Well, imagine having 30 people to pay for it. You've got them there all day waiting about. And then when if fights are cancelled or there's delays, and these people are just sat about with hospitality food. They're not bothered. It's mega dough. Mega dough. And I don't think boxing's going to get any bigger than what it already is. So I don't know what audience is trying to attract for these pay-per-views, but it's massive money. Massive. So I think, he might have bit off more than he could chew, but his ego's massive, isn't it? I mean, he makes everything about him, doesn't he?
He does, but it doesn't help that you've got people around him in that inner circle that seem to think that boxing will suddenly stop or come to a standstill once he goes over to DAZN. I mean, IFL were grovelling after him in that interview, which...
Grovelling, Coogan! Pull your tongue out, Eddie's hula hoop, you groveller!
It's embarrassing. I mean, my advice to Coogan is, dude, you need to be in control of your own destiny. Don't chase Eddie Hearn. Let him chase you. If he goes over to the States and he wants to give you some Zoom calls or some interviews, then, of course, pick up the phone and do the Zoom calls. Don't chase around after him. You've got to now go in another direction because guess what? So is he. And I think all these other channels, the sooner they start doing that, if they all get together and say, do you know what? We can still survive without giving Eddie Hearn time and access, the better I think it will be for everyone, casuals and hardcores, because we see enough of him anyway. And every time we do see him, I could basically, right, Russ, I could take an interview of Eddie Hearn 4, 5, 6 months ago, and I could basically copy and paste that from the last 4 months, because all the questions and answers have been exactly the same. Nothing's new, nothing's changed, with the exception of maybe of a little bit of the DAZN stuff. Everything that he's been asked is the same. And I'm just getting sick and tired.
It's just repeat, isn't it, mate? It's just repeat, isn't it?
It is. The fight. Not only we're getting now fights being recycled, we're now actually getting interviews and announcements being recycled because the well is now dry. There is nothing else to take from boxing at the moment. Nothing is going on. There's nothing going on.
No heavyweights are fighting, are they? What's happening with Usyk and Joyce? What's happening with Dylan White? He's just knocked out a 42-year-old. What's happening with Wilder? He's not fighting. Fury's 15-month out ring. Joshua, he's just beat 40-year-old Pulev, hasn't he?
Yeah, no one's talking about it. We've got Joe Joyce hasn't fought now since November. Daniel Dubois is already getting a fight before Joe Joyce. And and the state of Dubois in that last fight, you would have thought he'd have been out for 8-10 months. So we're now in a position now where Joyce is now sitting on the shelf. Yeah. Usyk is sitting on the shelf. Usyk, all right, we know he made a deal there. But Usyk and Joyce still need to fight other people in the meantime. Yeah. Sam Jones came out on an interview the other day and said that there won't be an announcement about Usyk and Joyce until there's an announcement about Joshua and Fury. So basically, we're going to be waiting around forever then for that announcement, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's a complete mess. Like you said, Dillian White, he's calling out people in the UFC. I mean, this is just getting even worse now.
UFC? What, like Francis Ngannou?
Yeah, that's all. Every story I'm seeing on Box Live with Dillian White, he's talking about people in the UFC. Dude, how about you talk about a heavyweight similar to you and actually have a worthy fight, a fight that actually means something? Because all of these belts are tied up to at least 2022 and maybe even beyond. Like even mandatories. No one's getting their shot at anything in the heavyweight division at the moment. It's frozen out.
Dave Caldwell's telling people up at Ingles Gym, right, that he thinks that Tony Bellew's still got something and he could do something in heavyweight division. How bad is that? How bad would that be? Dave
Caldwell is talking complete nonsense.
I know,
Sooner he gets off the TV, the better as well. That's another guy that I will not miss. he has had enough airtime the last few years, so and he should think himself lucky he's had that many interviews. It's time to now. The only good thing I will say about this Hearn move is if Sky do stay with the boxing outside of the pay-per-views and still carry on with their normal Saturday night shows, I just hope this is an opportunity for someone at Sky finally to say, do you know what, we need to clean house. And it's a shame that it shouldn't have taken Hearn to make the decision for them to realise that. Sky have been very reactive. They've not looked ahead of this and said, you know what, we think this is going to be the end of our relationship with Hearn. We need to make plans now. So when he does announce it, we're in a position to say, right, meet the new team. We've got these people presenting. We've got these people as pundits. Yeah. This is our new look. We're going to go out to these promoters. But Sky have just been on the back foot.
Ed Robinson, sort your acts out, and Beanie, sort yourselves out. But I think Bean knew this was going to happen, because last February, or March, when this pandemic hit, Bean were in London as a revolving reporter with Sky News, wasn't he? You remember? And then then he went and did the darts thing, didn't he? He got involved with that refresher thing about darts commentary and all that. So Bean thought the writing were on the wall. But then again, when he looked like he was losing his job at Sky years ago, he was begging Dennis Hobson on phone for a job at Setanta. Begging, mate. Begging. Trying to get me in at Setanta. Looking after himself. Well, if you back up on my channel for a year ago, maybe 18 months ago, you'll see, is everybody going to jump ship? You've got people on this ship jumping to another ship. Every man for themselves. It's like the Titanic, innit? Women and children first. Bean and Johnny Nelson here. Be like women and children first. We're all she's got. They're like that guy in Titanic who jumps in boat with kid and grabs her. Every man for themselves, mate. That's what they're like. Squirmers, the Squirminators.
Bean's the guy that disguises and dresses up as a woman so he can get in the boat first.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, you know these lot here, right? Now that it looks like it's all over and there's going to be some big changes, they're all squirming, like little worms, mate. They're all turning into little worms, and little rats. And you know what rats do? They turn on each other in end, don't they? Like little rats. That's what they are, mate. Little squirmers. And I'm glad. I hope Sky sinks. And they deserve it. But if not, I'll get behind him if they start doing the job right. Yeah, give Callis Howland some days. He's half all right, him, Callis Howland. Give him some days. Give other small old promoters some days as well. Give him some days and let him have a chance. Let Carl Greaves have some days. Give Joe Gallagher some days. He's put blood, sweat and tears into Sky. Give him a few days. He's a promoter. He's got a stable. Carl Greaves, give them a chance. Give Neil Marsh a chance. He's on shop floor, isn't he? He done well with David Avenetian. You don't see him mentioning David Avenetian, do you? Conor Bendy. Give Josh Whale a chance. He's a promoter now. Josh Whale from Barnsley. Give him a day. Give Steffi Bull a few days. He's put 90 shows on all thereabouts some years. He's never had Sky days. Give them all a chance. Give Dennis a chance. Let him come back into the fold. Instead of him pissing up all his money on that Fight Zone app that he's got going, because he's not with Eurosport now. Give Dennis a chance. Share the love. Share it out. Give Steve Goodwin and Steve Wood some dates. 20 dates a year, £3 million. You could share it across board. Give Calla 8 and share 12 out between another 6. Give them 2 dates each. It's not rocket science, Carl, is it?
It's not, but this is now Sky's responsibility. I mean, look, as much as I and a lot of other people criticise Sky, I still don't necessarily want them to end up on the scrap heap, because if Sky go under, it's less boxing we're going to see. So, of course, I still want them to succeed, but you better believe I'm going to be critical of them. If this means now that we're going to get different fights on Saturday night and we're going to see different promoters, we're going to see fighters that we've never seen before, for me, this is a win. It means that boxing can survive without Eddie Hearn. And look, I like some of Eddie Hearn's stable. I like seeing some of his fights, of course. And again, with Hearn, I'll praise him when he's done well, and I will always criticise him, because you've got to be, neutral, and you've got to be unbiased with these things. But I just want to see a lot of these guys given a chance. I don't want to see Sky going down the same route. I don't want them just to get on board with one promoter and do basically what they've done with Hearn for 9 years. That's what I don't want to see. But I think, going back to Scary Bean quickly, I think this
Scary Bean!
I couldn't help it. I think this is now making a lot of sense. While the last few months, we've seen him talking about the netball, the darts, because he knew exactly what he was going to be doing all along. He's a very sneaky so-and-so, Bean.
He's putting himself into darts and netball, isn't it?
Well, can you imagine the commentary on the women's netball? I mean, it's going to be a disaster. God knows what Bean's going to end up saying on that, or the darts.
I saw that one where they were at Sky and they were stood next to Tracy Neville, is it? Gary Neville's sister. Is she like a big.
She's on top. Yeah, she's on Talk Sport, I think, a bit. Neville's sister. She does a bit of that.
She would talk. She's quite tall, and Neville been with her, and he was stood talking to these netball girls. They were about 6'2", and he was like, "Oh, you're tall, and you're so tall," and he was in the middle of them like some little, I don't know. Bean was stood next to these tall netball women players, and I looked at him and I went, "See Bean."
Scary Bean is like that annoying mate that you can just never get rid of. He's the guy that just always turns up when you're trying to act cool in front of other people, and he just look around and he's there. He just, anytime you look at him on the boxing, he just looks so out of place, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. This is why he gets so much stick, don't you, Adam Smith? You weirdo. Hand that laptop in.
Well, he doesn't help himself by some of the stuff he comes out with. You can't blame him for how he looks. That's just unfortunate. But I'm sorry, mate. You've got to sort out your commentary.
The commentary, mate. It's become a selling point for Sky, and I mean, he were coming out with stuff like, I mean, here's Tony Bellew entering in the ring, the tattoo on the back, the bomber. It's nothing. It's not associated with the Ariana Grande bombing in Manchester.
That was awful.
The other one of the weekend, Josh Warrington now coming out to the ring. You know, he's got stamp collection of stamp books and penny black stamps and now we've got this, who is it coming out to me? Yes, he's covered in tattoos, and his next ones are going to be a spider's web on his elbow.
Baker.
Yeah, what about the other one? Blah, 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 yeah, and he's been up in the lakes. He loves the outdoor. He's like Bear Grylls. I mean, who wants to know about somebody going camping? But why does Bean always have to take it to extreme?
The commentary has gone... It is on either end of the extreme. You've got like the Sky commentary, and I saw a bit of that Triller commentary with Snoop Dogg, and that is just on a whole other level. I mean, if you want like a bit of entertainment, if anyone's not seen it, watch the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson fight. The previous one he done. The Snoop Dogg commentary. I tell you what, it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Do you know what? It reminded me of like the old school sort of wrestling commentary. And do you know what? If I had to choose either one of them right now, as much as the shows on that Triller are horrific, the commentary is just pure comedy gold. Obviously, I'd rather take something in the middle, but I can't see us getting back to that anytime soon. So if I'm going to pick one, if it's between Scary Bean and Snoop Dogg, I'm going Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, well, Sky, you see, listen, whenever you've got Ed Robinson at Sky, Bean's his mate, they're going to look after the mates. Bean needs taking off the Sky commentary. He's the problem. He is the problem with the commentary. He's got to go. Macklin's got to go because they're just bummers, mate. The pair of them, bummers. They've got to take them off, Sky. They've got to take them off for the sake of boxing. Macklin started out fantastic, very professional, but then they start going on about Katie Taylor being an icon and this and that. Do me a favour, mate. Do me a favour. How come she's not headlining the pay-per-view? Don't start chatting icons. Katie Taylor's got... Matthew Macklin's got to go. Bean's got to go. Nelson's got to go. Spencer Oliver, they've all got to go because they've all got agendas. They all need to be in the mix. They need that fix, but they're not narrating the story like they should. For example, Ebony Bridges was blocking punches for Shannon Courtney, but they were saying they were getting through. When she was hitting Shannon with combinations, they weren't mentioning anything, they stayed silent. So they've obviously got agendas, but go and look when Froch fought Groves. There were no agenda there. Well, 8 years ago when he was getting flogged by George Groves for 6 rounds. Well, they set about him, didn't they, Carl? Ian Dark or Nick Horlin, Glenn McCrory, David A. Amir Khan. They all set about Carl, didn't they? Now, eventually he got Groves out there and flogged him at rematch. But point I want to make is, since then, 2013 November, we've had Froch Groves. 2014 May, since then, the rimming's gone. Froch has been gone 7 years on it next month. In this last 7 years, because Eddie Hearn started out very bright, everybody's got comfortable in the roles, and it's become an old boys club where they're pulling in people left, right, and centre. Well, we'll get Dave Coble in here, we'll get Tony Bellew in. Oh, you don't fancy coming this weekend? We'll ring Tony Bellew. Yes, please, Eddie. Yes, please. Like Blockbusters. you want the B? Yes, please, Bob. Well, Eddie, do you want to come and do this gig, Tony? Yes, please, Eddie. Do you want to come, Dave, as well? Yes, please, Eddie. It's yes, yes, yes. And that's what Eddie's used to. He's used to the word yes. Now, I remember Eddie Hearn, and I'm not going to put this out there, but I remember what Eddie Hearn said to me when Carl Frampton left him. And Eddie Hearn didn't like that when Carl Frampton left him. Carl Frampton was the first person who left him. That was the first time I'd ever saw a chink in Eddie Hearn's armour. First ever time. And I felt for him a little bit. I don't fucking feel for him now, but I felt for him a little bit because he'd not been used to anybody knocking him back. Carl Frampton was the first one that went, nah, you're not for me, you. He was the first one. There's been a few since, but not many. He was the first one. Now, that's a narcissistic control freak, in my opinion. So...
Yeah, well, I mean, there's, like you said before, I mean, there's no friends in boxing and you've got to look after number one. I mean, I still think there are a lot of fighters out there who still seem very, very loyal to promoters. I don't like what I saw a month or so ago where I see Eddie Hearn giving a Coley Rolex watches. I mean, I think for me, you've got to be careful with that because that's almost like a, you know, oh, you'll be with me for a long time. I don't like it when boxers and fighters, and promoters get that bummy. I think there's got to be it's got to be a business relationship for me only. I don't like all this pally stuff. Not a big fan of that.
He gave Carl Froch a gold Rolex Daytona, rose gold Daytona, after Carl did Groves at Wembley. He bought him a Rolex Daytona. Nice one it is. And,
was that after the second one, his last fight?
Yeah, but he thought they were going to fight Chavez after that, didn't he? And it fell through, didn't it?
In all fairness, Froch had a touch with that one, in all fairness. As it
Go on the Cobra! Go on the Cobra. But then again, Froch did well for Eddie, and then he brought pay-per-view.
Bit different. Obviously, they had a much longer relationship, but Okole's he's not been with Hearn that long, is he? And he's only just won his first world title. So it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm looking into it a bit more than I need to, but you see this all the time, don't you? With, you know, fighters saying that this promoter's the best in the world. There was who was the guy that used to do the BT punditry, the small guy, shaved head?
Barry Jones. Jones.
He's been on an interview recently saying that promoter's the best, you know, promoter in the country. He's the best salesman. He's going, you don't need to say all these things. Even if you think it, just don't say it. Like, just don't give this guy any more, you know, compliments or, you know, good words than he's already got, because Eddie Hearn, like you said, he's got so many of these guys in his back pocket now. You know, and I think that's the thing that Sky probably will now use. I think this is going to give them the excuse they need to clear house, because I couldn't see them doing it before, but now they've got a reason to manage people out the back door once this thing finally becomes official that we all know is already happening. But yeah, I mean, Hearn's got an army of people now, isn't he? Not just fighters, but pundits, you know, guys that do the analytics. And he's now got the power to say, yep, I'll have you, I'll have you, I'll have you. Nah, I don't want you. Maybe I'll call you. We'll see how I feel. And that, no one person in boxing should wield that power.
I'll tell you a couple of others he's got in his back pocket as well. Hatman Strikes Back and Sporting Icons.
Oh, man, I've seen a few of his videos. He's always been quite a big Hearn lover. But he has criticised them a bit more recently, I've noticed.
Yeah, well, maybe he's phasing him out as well.
Who knows?
You don't hear Carl Froch or David A. rim Eddie and say he's best, do you? They keep the counsel, don't they?
Well, there's some people, there's not many left in boxing that do have something called personal pride.
Well, I don't know about David A's not got that much pride, but he doesn't, because he'll flip and slide from BT to Sky. But he won't rim Eddie Hearn. Now, Barry Jones never said Eddie Hearn were best in world when he were working for BT Sport, did he?
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he definitely
there you go.
not.
Once he got dropped from BT Sport, Eddie's best in world. And that's just how they are, because these people have got families to feed and that. Do you know what I mean? And the only way they feel that they can be in the mix is to rim, or as I call it, hula hoop. You know what I mean?
I do. I mean, I get that to an extent. I still think that you can be not so much a company man, but I still think you can be loyal to your employer but without crossing the line of where you're just brown nosing them. That I don't, because I think once you go down that road, then everyone looks at you a different way. And I think you can still get a gig, you can still get a job. Frotch did it for many years. It maybe not so much now, but you can still get a gig without hanging out the back of someone. And I think a lot of these people don't realise that you can. They think you've got to be all in or against them. You can't be in the middle.
Yeah. Well, I'm against it.
Yeah. Most people watching hopefully would be against it because you're selling your soul. You're not. That's not who you really are on camera. Some people it might be that the Gareth A. Davis we're seeing that's spying on women doing Zooms. That might genuinely be him.
Spying on women doing Zooms.
But a lot of the other pundits, I don't even believe Bellews like that behind closed doors. I cannot believe that's what he's like. You know.
No, he gets paid, doesn't he, off match. Do you feel that Gareth A. Davis is a potential peeping Tom in future?
Yeah, I think him and Bean could do a duet potentially.
What, through somebody's keyhole?
Yeah, definitely. Both take it in turns, mate. Both take it in turns. But I don't know, it's been a crazy week, mate. It's been a crazy week. I mean, do you know what? Even Frank Warren's been doing a hell of a lot of interviews recently, isn't he?
Yeah.
Every time I go on YouTube, I'm always seeing a thumbnail of Bricktop. You can't get away from the bloke at the moment.
Well, Frank's probably sweating about Tyson Fury because let me tell you this. Tyson, at the drop of a hat, boom, he can just walk at any time from Frank. If he's had enough, he'll get rid. He's no loyalty to anybody, Tyson, except himself. If he can do that to Mick Hennessy, after all them years and everything they went through and everything that was said, and I know a lot of what was said, if he can do that to Mick Hennessy, who's Frank Warren? Because we all know what Tyson Fury thought about Frank Warren years ago, don't we, when he was with Mick Hennessy?
Well, that's it. I mean, I think Tyson Fury is kind of now just hanging on with Frank Warren just to prove a point to Eddie Hearn. It's almost like he's cutting his nose to spite his face. I mean, I don't believe that Fury's actually with Warren because he believes he's the best promoter. I mean, he done a video recently with Billy Joe. It was only about 45 seconds long. And every time I see those two together, I mean, Billy Joe isn't the most articulate of people in front of a camera, but when he's next to Tyson Fury, it's like Dumb and Dumber. I mean, those two guys, you always get Fury abusing Hearn, and it's a bit of banter, and then Billy Joe was in the background, and Fury was like saying this stuff about Hearn and Matchroom, and I don't even think he believed what he was saying. And then he came out with at the end that, oh, Frank's 10 times the man you are and all that. It's like, dude, do you know what? Just stop recording yourself and do me a favour, get in the gym and announce a fight. Because these people don't realise how stupid and thick that they're coming across on camera.
Tyson's not had a fight in 15 months.
Yeah, if I was him, I would be keeping my head under the radar and doing what I can to get any fight right now. Not actually, I get why he wants to draw some attention to himself so people don't forget him. I do get that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Fury actually believes what he's saying. And I think he's just with Warren because he doesn't want to be seen to go over to Hearn, even if it would benefit his career. I don't think you're ever going to see that happening.
No, I don't.
Not if John Fury's got anything to say about it anyway.
Big John Fury, the fighting man that don't fight. Big John Fury, why don't you fight Mickey Theo? After all them videos you did shooting your mouth off, fight Mickey Theo, John. Get in fought and get some money raised for charity. You choose the charity. But get in fought, John. And put me out of my misery.
Oh, if not, hopefully Mickey can find someone else maybe to have a tell.
Yeah, well, I said that to me. 2 seconds. Yeah, it's a troll. Same troll keeps ringing. It rings me every day at the same time. They are devoted.
They are. I think they need a hobby though.
Some of them haven't got a job, have they? So they're on me all day, every day, a day in, day out. I don't know if we just send them a Porky mug, but we've run out.
Nice.
But yeah, so we've had an interesting chat there. I just want to finish off on Marcus McDonald's scoring of the fight at the weekend, 58-57 in the Adelaide fight. He was the ref and judge on the night. What do you think to that?
Okay, so I watched the fight. I watched it live. I watched 3 of those main ones Saturday, and very surprised by the decision. Saw a lot of people with their reaction afterwards. Thought, you know what? I'm just going to go back again the next day and watch it without the sound on. Now, I've had the fight a bit closer the second time, but I still was baffled at how they got to the decision and that scorecard. So even though I think the Polish guy won the fight, after watching it a second time, I don't think it was like a 6-round beatdown, but I think the poll comfortably had at
4-2.
least 4. Yeah, I think 4 rounds. I think most people have said it was a 4-2. And I think they're talking about Adelaide going into the rematch. I mean, to be honest,
suicide.
I don't know why. I mean, to me, I don't think the fight was. I thought it was competitive in parts, but I don't think it was close enough that he should be thinking about rematching that guy. A lot of those Polish guys, they are tough as boots, and I think Adelaide maybe it was a step too far for him already. He's not had many fights, has he? But I think maybe he should just count himself lucky that he got the decision on home turf and move on quietly.
Yeah, I see. I agree with you, mate, wholeheartedly. Yeah, I agree with you. But
it was a better Bricktop show than normal, though. I mean, there was, you know, don't want to keep you too long, but I think the Johnson fight, as much as I'm a fan, I had a few concerns in that fight.
Like what?
I mean, he came out like a bull in a china shop, and I know that's not new for Johnson. And maybe a bit of it was just nervous energy.
He did your man like that, didn't he, Billy Owney, didn't he?
But even Gallagher said after, in between the first and second round, he was like, "Dude, it's a 10-round fight," and Johnson got caught with that straight right in the first, which should have been a knockdown, but the ref didn't see it. I had to go back and watch it, but his knee did touch the canvas.
Yeah.
So I think he would have won the fight anyway, but I just think Johnson, if he wants to talk about that WBO guy, I'm not sure whether it's going to be anytime soon. I think he needs at least another 2 or 3 fights. I know he's not getting any younger, but I don't think he should be jumping in for the WBO champ just yet. I think he's still got a bit more ring rust.
Well, that'll be a fight in phone box, won't it, against Joe Smith?
Yeah, and it probably will suit Johnson because that's what he's known for. But he was just literally, I couldn't believe how much he was throwing the kitchen sink.
How many punches did he throw, Johnson, in that first round? Callum Johnson, I couldn't believe it. The power shots as well. He was fit, wasn't he?
It was. When he stopped the guy in the second, those left hooks that he was throwing in on the guy's temple, it was like an East End bar brawl. I mean, he wanted to make sure that ref stopped the fight. But in all fairness, the guy actually was being held up by the ropes. Yeah. He was actually sat on the rope. So he done what he needed to do. He moves on. But I think maybe they're talking about once Arthur and Yard have had their second tear up, maybe the winner goes on to fight Johnson, which we'll see. Could be interesting, but I'm not sure if Arthur and Yard will even have that rematch at the moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But I don't see Anthony Yard or Lyndon Arthur beating Callum Johnson. Not in the cat and else chance.
No, they won't.
Way too much for them.
Yeah, I think Arthur will try to avoid him, mate, definitely.
But what I can't understand is why people keep putting Callum Johnson in the same bracket as Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yard. Look at Lyndon Arthur's CV and Anthony Yard's CV and tell me their best 2 wins out of each of them.
Well, there's no point me even looking at Yard's CV because you're not going to find any names there, I'm afraid.
So forget all the shouting from Tunde Ajayi because that's only the Lions in the camp.
Oh, God.
No, forget all that. Forget all that comedy element. Take him out of the equation. Look at Anthony Yard as a boxer. Where's his body of work?
There's none.
There's none. What about the other kid? His body of work to beat Yard.
Yeah, but that is probably how he's going to... That is probably the only reason a lot of people know who the guy is, in all fairness.
Yeah, and Yard's beat nobody, has he?
No, I mean, Yard is probably a bit more popular with the casuals, but yeah, as far as Arthur, yeah, I think casuals probably just know him as the guy who beat Yard.
Who's beat nobody, whose claim to fame is he got knocked out by Kovalev.
That's it. So they're all living off of each other to a degree. That everyone knows everyone because they're all connected to someone. But Yeah, I think Frank will put most of his eggs in the Johnson basket.
Yeah, I'd like to think Johnson's top light heavyweight in country from UK, more by a mile, probably Europe.
Yeah, I think he got unlucky with that Beterbiev fight.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
I think I think that's why it only lasted 4 rounds, because both of those guys were just going at it, weren't they? You know, there was 3 knockdowns in the fight. It was very entertaining, but I think I'd just like to see him slow down a little bit, break the guy down, but maybe just do 4 or 5 rounds. You know, not take the guy out because we know he's a finisher, but maybe at the end of the year, early next year, hopefully he gets his title shot.
Yeah. What did you think to Jamie McDonald's brother, Big Twinny Gav, getting a draw in Spain?
That was a bit of a stinker, wasn't it?
God.
That was. I mean, I've watched a few of his fights in the past. I've never found him the most entertaining of fighters, but that to me, I don't want to be watching fights like that, Russ.
No, I don't. You think Eddie Hearn will give him another chance, or do you think he'll just throw him under a bus?
Well, this is the problem now. He's got so many people under this Matchroom umbrella. Does he need to give him another chance?
Yeah, he might go back at Q now after that performance. He looked a bit flat, didn't he?
I think he could. I mean, even if he sticks with him, I don't want to see him fight that same guy again. That's for sure. But like I said, Hearn holds all of the keys to everything at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. All right then. Well, listen. Thanks very much for coming on, Carl. It's been emotional. I've enjoyed the catch up with you. What you got planned for the rest of the day?
Well, it's actually my birthday today, but
how old are you?
33.
33, yeah.
33. I was thinking about hitting the pub, but the weather's not looking great at the moment. So I don't know. I'll hold fire for now. But if it gets better, mate, I might just go down for a couple of pints. What about you?
I'll be here for 5 o'clock. So.
Are you doing the stuff with Mickey, or prepping some stuff?
No, I'm all ready for tomorrow. I'm going to we're filming in Leeds tomorrow.
Nice.
So we're going to be filming in a studio. So I'm going to do the helmets tomorrow. I'll probably do some filming in Leeds with Mick tomorrow as well. Just get his thoughts on what's happening and blah blah blah. There's a few other things I've got lined up in pipeline. So things are going all right. Don't forget, we've started this from scratch and nobody's giving me any help. No matter what people say, Dennis gives you money and all that. Dennis Hobson never gave me a penny in the old time I was with him regarding boxing. I might have had money off him for other things, but not boxing. Never gave me a penny. So I just want to put that out. Never gave me 1p. I did all this on my own. And obviously these come on board after I've been doing it 2 years. 3 years, I think 3 years, no, 2 years. 2 years after 2. I've been at it 4 years November. After 2 years, these come on board. But listen, let me tell you this: never gave me a bean. And we've been. No, I don't get access. Not as much. Well, I don't want access. I ain't got time to run up around the country. We don't get access for anybody. But now it's people are starting to say, people are coming on board and helping out, and I'm getting pulled about all over, and it's quite exciting what we've got going. And because what we're doing is groundbreaking. We're going against the establishment. We're like Alex Higgins when he played snooker. He went against the establishment, didn't he? You know, Hearn and Steve Davis and World Professional Snooker and Billiards Association and all that way. It's World Snooker now. Hearn eventually got it, didn't he? But I'm anti-establishment. I have been all my life. I'm anti-authority. I don't like authority. Never have. I don't like people in uniforms unless it's a bird in a nurse's uniform. But we're going in right direction, mate. And I'm pleased with what we've got lined up, and it's quite exciting. There's chances to do other things, set boxing. There's chances for me to go on other channels and be given a fee, which I thought were a bit odd when I was offered it. I went, no, I'm not. It's not for me, that, mate. I could have done some stuff a while ago when I started this channel with Rico. After about 5 months, I got asked if I wanted to do something with some guys. They met me at Mar Lodge and come in a Bentley. They wanted me to front a right wing channel or something a bit like Tommy Robbins says. That's not for me, that, mate. I'm boxing. But there has been opportunities that have come up in the last couple of months to do other things.
Nice.
Other than this, and go on other channels, and I said no because I ain't got time. But we're going to sift through them. There ain't that many offers, but there's enough for me to be, for me to get a bit of a swellhead for about 10 minutes. But I'm a coal miner's son, aren't I? So, get up, man. Get down. But yeah, so we're happy. We're in a good place. Channel's in a good place. We're really, really happy. And like I said, we started this members thing. The button is below. Press. People keep saying, Porky won't do it. Look, it's not rocket science. Go on your computer. Go on your computer and not your phones. Press the members and join the Porky Express. If not, you can still be an hardcore fan, but you're not a super hardcore. We're happy, Carl. But listen, have a great 33rd birthday. Go and pay £7 a pint now in Essex, because that's what it is, isn't it?
Oh, it's not far off it, mate. It's almost like
£7 a pint. We pay £2.50 up here, mate.
Yeah, I'm better off just going to a local supermarket and buying a crate, to be honest, mate.
We'll get a crate, mate, and sit in house, paying to sit in a pub or outside a pub, innit?
That's it. Can't even go inside, mate, until middle of May.
How's anybody going to snort any chong down there? Then outside it'll blow all over, won't it? You have to get them little glass bottles that I used to go. You know, in nightclub, instead of having to go in the toilet.
Oh, but, I'm sure they'll find a way, mate.
I'm sure. All right then, Carl. Listen, you take care. Thanks for
coming
on.
Mate.
Cheers,
Speak
mate.
to you soon. Bye-bye.